Okay, folks, this is it for me for this season. This is my last show of the season, and I want to dedicate this particular show to Gary Rogers. He was a big fan of my show. He was a familiar face around Seneca Falls, always riding his bicycle, no matter what conditions. And he was a huge sports fan, huge New York Yankees fan, huge Notre Dame fan. He liked the Cleveland Browns. He liked to talk Syracuse sports. Very nice guy. We lost him a few days ago, and I'm dedicating this show to a guy who always had a nice batch of silver hair, nice glasses, and always a great opinion about things with sports. Rest in peace, Gary Rogers. Now I'm going to start talking about the Syracuse women's basketball team. Yeah, that was a great effort. Daisha Fair, Felicia Leggett-Jack, and all the others who led the Syracuse women's team. Good job. Nice opening win. But then you ran into a buzzsaw, even though they aren't as formidable as they once were. When you go against the Italian emigre, i.e. Gino Auriemma, and UConn, you got to expect it. They are one of the best women's teams ever. UConn has just had a big, hammerlock on the women's basketball for the longest time. But, times are starting to change. Yes, Kim Mulkey in LSU are starting to get there, and Caitlin Clark in Iowa. And the thing is, I have to say about Caitlin Clark, can't you keep your complaints to a minimum? Hey, you were beaten up on Holy Cross. You didn't need to complain all that time. That shows poor sportsmanship. Almost like the LSU player that went to you when they won the national title last year and going like this. That's poor sportsmanship. Of course, I digress. It was a big battle between UConn and Syracuse, but Gino Auriemma and the Huskies emerged victorious. But you know what? It only bodes well for the future. The SU great Felicia Leggett-Jack has got the women's team playing some pretty good basketball, and it could bode well seeing out going forward. You know what? That was a good effort, SU women's team. Congratulations on a good season. Good luck moving forward. It's almost like it is with the men's team. And like I said last week, I hope the NCAA takes a big look at this transfer portal, moves the date till after the postseason. Because, hey, many people are wondering if this could spell the end for the NIT. We'd like to see teams that qualify for the postseason playing. And hey, you got to do something, NCAA. Who knows? But congratulations to a pretty good season, SU women's team. I want to kind of continue a little bit with the SU lacrosse team. You know what? We had a pretty good late winter storm. Of course, early spring now. And it gave adverse conditions to the SU men's lacrosse team when they played Hobart at Boswell Field. I was among those who braved that 30-degree temperature to watch SU in the 109th meeting between the Statesmen and the Orange. Hobart's got some pretty good traditions, especially the ringing of the bell there just before they were playing the national anthem, because when they got flagpoles there where not only do they have Old Glory, but also the flags of a couple of the branches of the armed service to pay tribute to before the game. But I was one of those hardy souls that braved the 30-degree temperatures, plus those northerly winds, to watch Syracuse defeat Hobart. And you know what? It's another edition of the Krause-Simmons Trophy that goes to the Orange. And as we start to head down towards the stretch of the season, let's see how Gary Gates' team does. He's been improving them every year. And let's just say, I got the chance to almost shake Gary Gates' hand on Saturday as the team went into halftime. Yep, I mean, pretty good win, and let's keep going, Syracuse lacrosse team. Keep it going, both men and women, as we head towards May. And I do want to give a little tribute to the local teams. Yeah, it was a pretty good thing covering both your fall and winter sports, especially the basketball teams for both Minders and for Waterloo. Good seasons, guys and gals. And of course, the football season, let's hope it's a better time for both Waterloo and for Minders. You know, I mean, we finally got back to playing local teams in football. We didn't need this whole thing where we got to travel 100 miles to play a team just in the regular season. But you know what? That sometimes is what the Finger Lakes, the whole governing body for Finger Lake sports can be. Yeah, you got to play similar teams with similar enrollment. Yeah, and look what it does. Increase travel costs and put more stress on the students. But you know, you got a trial and error. That's what they got to do. Well, whatever. Great fall and winter seasons, guys, gals. And I mean, I'll be watching as spring sports starts. Lacrosse, both men's and women's, softball and baseball, and track and field. Let's hope they're good spring seasons for the local kids. Was a pleasure covering you, and I'll continue next year. And I do want to kind of end my show talking about a couple of rules the NFL has implemented. Looks like they banned hip drop tackles. Oh, what is a hip drop tackle? Is that like egg drop soup? You know, of course, you can't name some things after famous Chinese dishes. But of course, heck, they kind of say they contribute to injuries. Of course, they banned horse collar tackles, which I admit can be pretty risky. And I mean, heck, they say hip drop tackles have increased the likelihood of injuries to the lower extremities, like the knee or the ankle or the Achilles or whatever. But I mean, hey, J.J. Watt said it best. The NFL kind of seems to just keep sanitizing its thing. What's next? Are you going to hand out the flags to put around the waist? Because it's going to become almost like flag football. Of course, flag football is gaining traction, and it may be an Olympic sport, if you know what I mean. But I digress. And also, the way they tweak the kickoffs. The NFL had kind of made it so, I mean, what was one of the most exciting plays became the least exciting play. But they've adopted the rule like they're going to do with the UFL, which I should say kicks off its season. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's brainchild for spring football. You know what? Spring football, yeah, I mean, you always give it a whirl, not only with the USFL, but the other leagues. But, you know, is it really going to gain traction? I don't know. You know, I mean, football is best reserved for the fall and winter, if you know what I mean. But you know what, this rule, it's going to line the teams up pretty close, and they aren't to move until the receiver catches the ball, and it's supposed to increase the kickoff. Could it bring back the kickoff return for a touchdown? We'll see, as that has pretty much become non-existent. Part of the NFL's things to kind of, you know, keep injuries from happening. Injuries are going to happen on whatever play you have. I mean, I see your point, especially with the prevalence of concussions and seeing all the players who've had problems when they retire, including ones that have developed behavioral problems. And I mean, when good ones die, like Junior Seau, finding out all those hits really screwed him up. But I mean, heck, you know, the NFL's got to realize no matter how much you tweak it, there's always going to be injuries. We can't be playing flag football, guys. Do we want to see flag football? maybe with the ladies, but I don't think in the NFL. And that is all I have to say for this season. It's been another wonderful season covering sports for you and cut with my humor. Until late August or early September, this is Kenny's Two Pennies signing off.